Welcome back to the channel, and I hope you've all had a great weekend. I don't know if you caught my last video, the SMC will return after these messages, but a trip came up unexpectedly on me that I kind of thought was going to be a bit later, so I didn't really have the time to put together a couple episodes before I had to leave. But we're back now. And I'm sure you've caught on by now that we're looking at the next episode in Transformers G1 Season 1, which is Episode 6. This episode was written by Donald Glut, who's done work for screenwriting on shows such as Transformers and G.I. Joe, but he's also made quite a few amateur films of his own and actually wrote the novelization for The Empire Strikes Back. A lot of cool stuff. And as always, if you want a recap of the story or don't know anything about G1 Transformers, I recommend checking out at least the first SMC video, which covers the pilot episodes, but with all that said, let's just get right into it. Season 1, Episode 6, Divide and Conquer. We open on a factory accompanied by some narration about how humans have been producing weapons capable of combating humanity's universal enemy, the Decepticons. Chip is at the factory assisting Mr. Labcoat, who I assume is a factory director or technician or something, by working on their computers to try and optimize their weapon output. The Decepticons don't exactly like the idea of humans owning guns, because only they should be allowed to own guns, and so the Seekers assault the factory. Quick side note, I think I've referred to the Seekers before, but I've never actually explained it, so for those of you who aren't familiar with Transformers lore, Seekers are basically the model of Decepticon that Starscream is, so Starscream, Thundercracker, and Skywarp are all Seekers. And any Transformer using their model or design is a Seeker as well. It just helps to classify them so I don't have to list off several names every time they show up or if any unnamed Seekers appear. Now you can go home and say that you've learned something from my channel. Here's another fun fact for you. Human soldiers don't usually do too well in a fight against giant alien robots. The Decepticons begin to drain the energy from the factory, getting a sweet 2-for-1 deal and having both the weapons factory put out of commission and getting some sweet energon cubes out of it. Chip sends out a distress call to the Autobots, who are currently working on a mission of their own. Optimus is out in the field with Spike trying to locate where the Decepticon space bridge will appear next when they receive the SOS. Being out on a mission, Optimus is separated from the others, but it also means he's the closest to the factory. As Starscream calls Megatron to tell him what a good boy he's been, Prime arrives at the plant with Spike to confront them.
Optimus Prime!
Very perceptive.
Since the Decepticons outnumber him 3-1, they decide they like those odds and try to fight. Optimus holds his own against them, but the factory mainframe Chip was working on is hit during the fight and is about to blow. Optimus shields the nearby humans from the blast with his body, but this both stuns and damages him. The Seekers all fire on Prime, severely wounding him as he collapses. Luckily, Autobot reinforcements arrive just in time, forcing the Decepticons to gather the cubes and pull out. It was about at this point that I realized that this is almost exactly what happened in Revenge of the Fallen, and they say Michael Bay didn't stay faithful to the source material. Back at Decepticon HQ, Starscream reports that Optimus has fallen, but Megatron needs to make certain, so he has Laserbeak head to the Autobot base in order to confirm. At the Auto base, Laserbeak sneaks in as he oversees the bots doing their best to keep Prime alive. I'm not really sure if this counts as a war crime or not, but Laserbeak opens fire to finish the job.
Get back, everyone! He's going to explode!
Just a flesh wound.
Optimus must have maxed out his luck and endurance skills because he's basically the same as he was before his insides combusted, except now he's leaking energy. In order to fix this, the Autobots need a replacement Cosmotron, which I guess is like a blood valve or something, but with a name like a Cosmotron, it could be his left kidney for all we know. If a practical person like me was in this situation, I would take the simple route and rip out one of the Autobots' Cosmotrons, letting them slowly perish for the greater good. Or a slightly more difficult option, if you don't want to live with the crushing guilt of sacrificing your comrade, would it be to capture a Decepticon and rip out theirs? You know, assuming you're okay with the UN putting you on trial for war crimes. The Autobots are all cowards though, and instead choose the insanely hard option, which is to use a Decepticon space bridge to infiltrate Decepticon-occupied Cybertron in order to get to Wheeljack's workshop and grab a replacement kidney he had lying around. Yeah, you know, assuming it works after 4 million years of gathering dust in his garage, and assuming the workshop even exists after being vacant that long. Anyway, the Autobots plan their road trip to Cybertron and agree to bring Chip with, since the Decepticons have likely locked down Wheeljack's lab and they may have to hack their way in. Chip is able to get to Teletran 1 to predict the next space bridge site, and so the team is all set to go. Checking back in with Megatron and friends.
Now that Optimus Prime is down, we should attack the Autobots. The only attack will be my assault on your self-esteem. Now go get some Energon cubes to Cybertron. But Megatron...
Oh, that hurts my throat. So Starscream, Rumble, and Reflector set up their new space bridge site and get the cubes ready for transport. One Reflector is forcibly sent over as the pilot just as the Autobot team arrives to borrow the space bridge. A battle breaks out in which the Decepticons seem to be winning, but Megatron has a better idea. Lose. So they do. This is because Megatron has his own plan he wants to try out, but you know, maybe he could have kept that as a backup plan and still let this battle play out, because then either way he wins. But anyway, the Decepticons retreat and the Autobots head to Cybertron. Shockwave is a bit surprised to see them, but like any good host, he just wants to give them a warm welcome. The Autobots are rude guests, however, trapping him in goo and breaking down his wall. The nerve of some people. Megatron sets his master plan into effect by deploying a group of Seekers on Cybertron to make it rain, but not the fun kind. Chip hacks into the lab with ease, and they find Optimus' replacement kidney even easier. That rain Megatron wanted comes in though, and surprise, it's acid. Being from the Seattle area, no rain can scare me, even if it does melt my skin off, yet the Autobots are clearly from Southern California due to how dramatic they all get. All hope seems lost until Chip gives them some motivation.
Acid storm disabled circuitry.
No one's ever really disabled as long as he has courage.
I'm all for this handicap empowerment, good stuff. However, I think there's a slight difference between being in a wheelchair and getting gallons of acid dunked on you. You know, there's two different kinds of disabled there. Inspired by Chip's words, Trailbreaker remembers that he has a force field that can protect them. Well, that certainly would have been handy. Bluestreak then dissipates the clouds by blasting them, making their way clear again. Well, that certainly would have been handy. While that's all going on, the Decepticons back at Megatron's crib have a historic breakthrough.
Perfect. Now Optimus is down and a number of the Autobots are going to perish on Cybertron. So now we should hit them with a down and attack. You know what, Starscream? I agree. But Megatron... Wait, you do? For once, yes.
It's a real Christmas miracle. Back to Cybertron. Shockwave is just about done cleaning up the mess the Autobots left behind when they come smashing in again. Shockwave has had it with their rudeness, so he respectfully and politely asks them to kindly vacate the premises, which they do. Meanwhile, the Autobots are struggling with Optimus's repairs, and to make matters even worse, the Decepticons are closing in on the base. The Autobots still outnumber them like at least 3-1 or something, but as we've established, every Autobot but Optimus is terrible at their job. Everyone's kind of accepted the fact they're utterly screwed except Spike, who, as we mentioned last episode, has a death wish, and he's ready to take on all the Decepticons single-handedly with his oversized pistol. But luckily, this inspires everyone else to do their job and fight the Decepticons. So what we've learned is that without Optimus and the humans, the Autobots would all just curl up into little balls and cry, like me whenever someone disagrees with me on the internet. That's just a joke, though. I'm not actually a leftist. That would imply I care about human rights. The Decepticons arrive and the battle begins, quickly showing that maybe the Autobots were right to be scared. The Decepticons are absolutely trouncing the Autobots, yet at a price. Starscream worries that they're expending too much energy in a battle this large, which Megatron agrees with. To wrap things up, Megatron turns into gun mode, which only makes things worse for the bots. The Cybertron team arrives during the fight and joins in while the Cosmotron is rushed to Optimus. The reinforcements aren't enough to change the tides though, and soon the Decepticons have bested the Autobots. Megatron confidently dares anyone to challenge him, to which a repaired Optimus takes him up on. The cons could easily all just gang up on him, but rhetorical questions are legally binding in Cybertronian law, so now Megatron has to 1v1 Optimus. That energy issue Starscream mentioned comes up as Megatron is too drained to be able to beat Optimus, and Starscream just loves watching him get the scrap kicked out of him. Megatron yields the fight and flees along with all the Decepticons, and Optimus develops chronic back pain due to the weight of carrying the whole team on his back for so long. And then everyone lived happily ever after. Until the next episode.
The Transformers will return after these messages.
I used too much power against the Autobots. I need assistance.
How unfortunate.
We now return to the Transformers.
Thanks again for watching, and I hope you all enjoyed. I'm sorry this was coming out a couple weeks late, but like I mentioned, I had something else kind of come up and I didn't want to rush out a couple videos in like a day or two. But yeah, now we're back on schedule and I hope to stay on schedule for a bit, although I do have some other kind of bigger projects I want to work on for this channel and another, so I'll post an update depending on how SMC is going to go, but at the moment I'm planning to continue weekly, but it depends on how much time these other projects are going to take up. If you're not subscribed, consider joining up, and of course every view is very appreciated. Leave your likes below if you liked it, leave a dislike if you disliked it, leave your comments below regardless, and have a great week.